Do y'all love superheroes? Wow, amazing. Oh, I love this animation. Oh, this is kick-ass. Oh, I can't wait to see the live action. Oh no. Oh, what have they done to you? Oh, my characters that I grew up with. No. Oh, is that Superman? Turn it off. And that is just a glimpse of the DC experience. What's poppin'? It's Shaman. And in this video, I want to explore the burning question that's been on my mind lately. Something a lot of people been wondering. What went wrong with the DC live action universe and why it doesn't hold a candle to its animated counterpart? While also trying to answer the questions of why is it when you look at the live action films there's a sense of inconsistencies, missed opportunities, and shoddy CGI, and on the flip side, the animated movies with less resources seem to just hit different. The best way I see us going about this and finding the answer to the question is comparing the two universes first and expecting the foundation and the fundamentals of the people behind them. It's not like the live action lacks star power or budget, quite the contrary. I think DC live action films' positives is their casting and boast of top tier actors, but some more than others. But in addition to all of that, they also have jaw-dropping visuals and monumental budgets. But somewhere along the way, it seems the essence of the iconic characters that we grew up with seem to just get lost in translation. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some shining gems in the live action universe. Yet, for every great gem, there ends up being 3 stinkers. However, on the other hand, DC's animated universe, which I will call the DCAU, has been quietly and consistently creating and crafting masterpieces from emotional charged character arcs, stunning visuals, compelling stories, and even fresh takes on the characters and stories that they're in. So it is no wonder that the animated films have become a haven for fans seeking a more faithful representation of the beloved heroes, with 1/100th of the budget that the main live action films have. But I know what you're saying, Shaman, that doesn't make sense. The studios know better. They're pumping more money into the other one. It has to be better, right? No. Just throwing money at a problem doesn't just make it better. I think people get the misconception that these studios know better just because they're rich and they have a whole bunch of people in them. Understanding that this is the same studio that spent $30 million on a Nicolas Cage Superman movie that never even got one scene filmed. Yeah, that bad. But I will admit, I think the problem lies more than just the budget, the money, the actors, and all that. I think it actually might lie within the staff and the people who head each respective DC entertainment themselves. So let's dive a little deeper into this. And when you look at both of these heads of both of these companies, equate them to Kevin Feige as they oversee what's gonna go down the production, and all goods and bads weigh upon them at the end. So let's look at James Tucker, as he is a veteran in the Western animation scene, as he actually played a big part in the original DCAU in the 2000s, featuring such shows as Batman Beyond, Superman, Batman Adventures, Static Shock, and more. He has production credits for all these shows, writing credits, and he even went on to create Batman Brave and the Bold, which really goes to show that he really understands these characters as he's grown with them through the years. Or at least their animated counterparts, which for most of us is good enough since that was a lot of our first exposure to them. But having that understanding and knowing why these characters are so beloved and having fun with them and being able to take artistic liberties with them that took James Tucker years of experience to be able to achieve, allowing him to do fresh, new adaptations of iconic characters while also breathing a breath of fresh air into new characters for old fans and new. So that makes sense. I see why the DCAU is so good. It's a guy that's been around it forever. So what about Zack Snyder? He has to have the same type of credentials as James Tucker, right? They wouldn't just give their billion-dollar superhero IP key to just anybody, right? He must be a real rival to Kevin Feige, being able to take on vibrant colored characters, funny jokes, deep storylines and such. Let's look at what he got. Okay, he made Dawn of the Dead. That's a horror movie. Okay, 300, that was good. I mean, kind of gritty and all. Oh, Watchmen. Watchmen was a comic book, but that one was pretty dark. And then Legends of the Guardians and Sucker Punch. I think I'm starting to see the problem here. I'm not saying that Zack Snyder was ever a bad director. On the contrary, I think he's really good. Yet picking a director to fill these shoes is not a one-size-fit-all approach. Quentin Tarantino is my favorite director. I don't want to see him directing a Spider-Man movie. Just doesn't make much sense. And with that, I don't think Zack Snyder should have ever been in the running for the vibrant, hopeful, and times silly universe of DC. He could have had an interesting take on Batman, but starting him off on the man with hope on his chest himself in a dark, gritty, just saddening film was kind of a recipe for disaster. Because if the beacon of hope himself is gonna be this sad and this unfun, what does that set the tone for the rest of them? I understand Zack Snyder is a comic book fan, but he's also like that kid in class that tries a little too hard, making everything edgy, gritty, and not fun to be around. Breaking years of established lore, character development, and growth with these people just for shock value. Having Superman and Batman's one rule, like their only rule is that they don't kill people. Superman ends off his movie crying while snapping a man's neck, and Batman, who wouldn't even kill the Joker, is out here blowing people up and using guns. And not to mention that his take on the Dark Knight trilogy when Batman was in the prison was that he should have been R-worded. That is a real quote by Zack Snyder. You can look it up. And if you don't think having Zack Snyder in charge wasn't a big mistake, DC themselves realized that it was a mistake, wanting to change the whole direction of the DCEU, giving it a more hopeful, fun vibe, more like the Marvel series, which I think they should have done in the first place, because I think the DC comics are more hopeful, fun, and enjoyable in certain ways, while I think Marvel comics can be a little more edgier. But with that change came a few good movies like Wonder Woman and Shazam, but that came too little too late. With betrayal of expectations, inconsistent tones, and lackluster storytelling, the DC fans are just burned. And comic book fans in general, which is a ripple effect of a business decision like this. When you want to ride on the back of the Marvel's universe, when they go up, you might go up, but when they drown, you become a millionaire's submarine. And with that being said, I think that solves a few of our questions, but I think there's still stuff that we can learn and break apart from all this. As in, what could DC have done different? What can they learn from these mistakes? And what makes an animation studio still so amazing? And I think my last segment will shine a light onto these questions. So I think for us to find our answer, I think one of the best ways we can do it is drawing a parallel between the two entities for properties that are similar, being Zack Snyder's Justice League and Justice League War, as they're both pretty much tackling the same topic. Starting with the live action film first, while ambitious, left many of us fans yearning for more or just feeling like the creators dropped the ball in some regard. Having people having to petition just to get the Snyder cut, that wasn't much better, really, honestly. With no relationship between characters, no dynamics at all, feeling rushed and pacing all types of off. Oh, and don't let me rant about some of the shitty CGI for a $3 million movie. Then enters Justice League War, the animated counterpart in ways that flawlessly captured the essence of the team dynamic, showing that heroes as they come together to face the formidable threat Darkseid. The animated version not only nailed the chemistry between the characters, because the writers and producers made it a key focal point that specific characters had to have certain relationship and chemistry with each other, as per the comic book interactions, such as Green Lantern and Flash, Superman and Wonder Woman, and Shazam and Cyborg, which made you love the characters even more, seeing their banter and interactions together, seeing how two other characters act when they're alone, and seeing how a character changes tone when a new character is added to the fold. But if I asked you in the live action Justice League, who did Aquaman have a relationship with? Who would you pick? Superman? Oh, well, they didn't really meet until the end of the movie. Oh, maybe Wonder Woman. They kind of never really see eye to eye. That could be like a rivalry. I mean, they did have that rope scene and that was it. Oh, maybe Batman. No, he just recruited. Nevertheless, I think that's the problem. These characters don't feel like the characters that we love. You honestly can inject any superhero and it would still be the same movie. Meanwhile, the same thing can't be said about the animated movie. Keeping true to the character while having a tone that resonates with fans. Seeing heroes and villains having true chemistry together while also having stories tailor-made to these specific characters. Gotham by Night or All-Star Superman only work because of those heroes. Where the live action try to shove jokes down our throats, the animated universe actually made me laugh out loud at points.
Green Lantern's got this.
Gets me every time. So to reiterate, I ask you, what went right with the animation studio in the Justice League War that the live action version struggled with? And I'll tell you, it's all about understanding the source material, balancing character development, delivering a cohesive narrative, and all while having the freedom to make what you want without dealing with limitations. All elements that the animated universe has consistently excelled at. Well, when I ain't putting all the blame on DC, but understand there's other industries and studios that are going down these routes. We see it a lot in the anime industry right now, as people are trying to make adaptations that are nothing like the original source material. And understand, I don't want a one-to-one adaptation, but I do want to see the story that I fell in love with in some way. But luckily, it looks like the industry's listening and getting rid of Death Notes and Batman v Supermans and giving us more One Pieces and Into the Spider-Verses. But for the case for live action, I do want to say this. I understand that it's hard to make a movie, and understanding that the animated studios have a little more freedom compared to the live action limitations, as you can't just throw a superhero in like when you want. You gotta hire an actor, write a script, and make a costume for them. In every moment that camera's on, money is being burned. But other people have done it. Every media has its limitations. So there's only so many excuses that you can make before you run out. There should have been more pre-planning. There should have been more comic book writers in there. Zack Snyder should not have been the head director. You should have done better background checks on all your actors, and much, much more. Because when y'all present me a Batman, a character that I grew up with and read the comic books to and enjoyed immensely, and I see him kill someone instantly, all I can say is that's not my Batman. And when I see a Superman that doesn't smile, tell you not to give up on hope, and kills a man in his first movie, all I can say is that's not my Superman. In conclusion, to answer the questions between the tales of the two DC Entertainment's live action and animated universes, is a fascinating one. While the live action films may dazzle us with visual spectacles, it's the animated movies that constantly deliver the heart and soul of the iconic characters. With a staff and a head that truly understand and respect the media, Justice League War is one example of how understanding one's core source material can make all the difference. I hope Peter Gunn is able to take some notes from the animated team and truly find what makes these characters special. As the characters we grew up with told us to never give up hope, I don't want to give up hope on them. And hopefully they'll get the live action universe they deserve. Yo, so what is y'all thoughts? Do you agree that the DC animated universe has been the unsung hero in storytelling? Or do you think the live action films have their own merit? Let's continue the conversation in the comments down below. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you're a comic book lover, check out this video on the right here, where I go over if the whole show was a villain arc, talking about Super Crook. If you like the DCAU, I think you should check it out. But until next time, thank you for watching. Peace.